Okay, let's talk about something pretty wild. Imagine a world where the law isn't written by people at all. Instead, it's written in pure mathematics. That's the core idea behind a system called YellowChain. It's a big concept, so let's just dive right in and unpack it. Humanity's first mathematically constitutional governance system. I mean, wow, that's a huge claim, right? So what on earth does it actually mean? Well, think about it like this. Instead of a system with rules written by politicians or even programmers, rules that can be bent or misinterpreted, this is about building a foundation on the pure, unchangeable truths of mathematics. So to really get a handle on this, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll tackle that core concept, math as immutable law. Then we'll look at what problem this is all trying to solve by democratizing global intelligence. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the three mathematical pillars that make it all possible. From there, we'll see how it creates an enforceable ethical code, and finally, what this all could mean for a more equitable market. Let's get started. All right, first up, math as immutable law. The very idea that mathematical principles could be the foundational laws of governance. So the big question is, how could that even work? How do you run a system not with human debate or messy code, but with pure, clean math? Okay, so this is really the heart of it. Instead of a constitution full of legal jargon that lawyers can argue about for years, picture a constitution written in the language of mathematics. The rules are literally formulas. And what's so powerful about that? Well, formulas are self-enforcing. You can't really bend them or, find loopholes in the same way. It's designed to create a system where fairness isn't just a promise someone makes, it's a mathematical certainty. All right, that all sounds pretty high level, right? So what's the actual real-world problem that a system like this is designed to fix? Well, it comes down to a fundamental imbalance in our global economy. And it's all about who gets access to crucial information. I mean, just think about it for a second. Right now, the best business intelligence, the data that gives companies a massive edge, it's mostly locked up by huge corporations. It's super expensive, it's complex, and that creates this huge unfair advantage. It's called information asymmetry. YellowChain's solution is basically to smash that system open, to decentralize all that data and create a truly level playing field for everyone. And the engine that makes all this possible is something called the Global Business Intelligence Ledger, or GBIL for short. You can think of it like a giant public library of economic information for the entire world. It's built to automatically collect, process, and verify data, making it universally available. And it's all about community-driven verification, so everyone can trust the info. Okay, so how in the world does YellowChain actually pull all this off? It sounds almost like science fiction. Well, it's all built on what they call the three mathematical pillars. This is where we get into the real technical heart of the system, the engine that makes it all go. So yeah, the question is, how is this even possible? How do you build a system that is self-enforcing, perfectly fair, and totally secure right from the very beginning? It really comes down to three key mathematical principles. Pillar number one is modular congruence. Now that sounds complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It's all about making sure the rules are the same for everybody, everywhere, no matter the scale. So a rule that applies to a tiny local group has to work the exact same way for the entire global system. No loopholes, no exceptions. It's about mathematical symmetry ensuring consistency. Okay, pillar number two, Zeta-Regularized value. This one is all about thinking long-term, like really long-term. You can think of it as a kind of infinite-term equity calculus. It's a way to make sure that the decisions we make about resources today are fair, not just for us, but for generations and generations to come. It's basically a mathematical way to stop us from sacrificing the future for short-term gain. And the third and final pillar is quantum consensus. And this, as you can probably guess, is all about security. But we're not just talking about today's security. This is about creating a system so secure it's designed to be unhackable, even by the quantum computers of the future. It's what makes the core governance policies truly permanent, not just hard to change, but mathematically impossible to break. So, we've covered the technical how, the mathematical engine. But now let's get into the philosophical why. Because YellowChain isn't trying to be some neutral platform. It's actually designed with a moral compass, an ethical code baked right into its very foundation. And the really crucial thing to understand here is that these principles, things like fairness, preservation, and resource equity, they are just feel-good suggestions on a website. They're treated like mathematical constants. They are unchangeable, universal invariants that the system is literally hardwired to protect. It's ethics by design. So how do you actually do that? Well, it's a three-step process. First, you take an abstract principle, like fairness, and you encode it into the language of math. Then, from those mathematical representations, the system generates actual enforceable rules and policies. And finally, and this is key, the system is constantly auditing itself to make sure everything is in compliance. The ethical code enforces itself. Okay, let's pull all of this together. We've got the math, we've got the ethics. So what? What's the real-world impact of all this? What does a mathematically fair system actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Well, on the economic side, the benefits could be huge. When you get rid of that information asymmetry we talked about, markets just become way more efficient. Transaction costs drop because everyone has better information, and that kind of environment, well, it's an incredible catalyst for innovation. It could open the door to all sorts of new business models we can't even imagine yet. But, this social impact might be even more profound. Think about it. When you dramatically lower the barriers to entry, when you give everyone equal access to information and resources, you're talking about real economic inclusion. Small businesses, solo entrepreneurs, individuals, suddenly they can compete on a much more level playing field. It's about empowering entire communities through the distribution of knowledge. And really, this brings us to the most crucial point of all. The big takeaway. YellowChain's goal is to move us from a world of systems that ask for our trust to a system that is provably fair and secure simply by its design. It's not about trusting people or institutions anymore. It's about replacing trust with mathematical proof. So, we'll leave you with this question to chew on. YellowChain is obviously incredibly ambitious, maybe even utopian. But the question it forces us to ask is simple and really powerful. What if our economic systems could be designed to be fair, not just trusted to be? What would that world actually look like?